Hi guys. So in this video, I will be explaining you some client round based interview questions that has been asked to me as well as to my colleagues. Okay. So let me share with you what all kind of question has been asked to 5+ or 6+ years of Java developer experience candidates. Okay. As a client, I'm telling. So clients like big banking based clients like JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Barclays. So these kind of banks, what kind of questions they ask as a client round for a service based organization. So let's understand these. And this is part 3. So 2 parts I've already uploaded before. If you haven't gone through that, please watch through those videos. So now in this video, let's understand some new kind of questions. So let's get started. Okay, so one question is this, like there is some array given to us, array of elements like 9, 2, 6, 1, 3, 11, 8, 4. So basically we have to find the pairs which sum up to the maximum value. So how will you find the pairs whose sum is equal to max value? So there are multiple ways to do it. One way is through brute force approach, like go by first element till the last, then jth loop will start from I plus 1 at index and then it will go till the end. Then we have to keep on checking array at I plus array at j, is it equal to my max value or not, and keep max as 0 initially. Okay, assuming that all elements are greater than 0. Then whenever you find out any value which is greater than the previous max, then the maximum value will be my output. And then corresponding to that max value, we can find a pair and store it in a list or in an array, and we can return it back. This is one of the way. Another approach is to sort this array. If you sort this array, then the last 2 elements pair will be my max sum. Okay, so we can return those 2 elements. So this is one of the approach. So this one sorting time complexity will be O of n log n. Okay, and if you do it via brute force approach, time complexity will be O of n square, because you are checking for each pairs. Okay, what is another best approach will be? So can you do it in O of n time complexity? Just try to do it in O of n time complexity and try to understand like whether it's possible or not. Okay, let me go ahead with the next set of question. Can we make constructor as final? Just think about it. We can't make constructor as final, because constructor is what? Constructor is like a normal method only, because in method we are writing access specifier, access modifier, then some return type, and then method name, and then some parameters or without parameters. But in constructor, it is like access specifier, then along with that you are passing just a class name. Okay, so if the method name, okay, is same as the class name with no return type, that is basically a constructor. Then if you are putting constructor as final, then what's the point of creating constructor? Because if you are creating constructor, it's for mainly object creation. So every time you call constructor, you are creating new object. And if you are making it as final, then nobody can able to call that constructor and create an object with it, right? So it's basically waste of time. So that's why it will give compile time error. It will not allow you to create the object. So yeah, this was it. Like we can't make constructor as final. So what will happen if we add return type in a constructor? There's a normal constructor. What will happen if we add a return type to that constructor? So if we add return type to that constructor, then it will become a normal method. Okay, then it will not be a constructor then. So this was pretty simple, right? Next question is, what's the difference between abstract class and interface in Java? So this is very pretty important question. Like from fresher to experienced candidates up to 10 years, 12 years, also this questions is asked in service-based organization. So this is very important from interview perspective. So here I've put down the difference. So basically abstract class is used where we are having partial implementation. And whenever we want fully abstract, then we have to go ahead with interface. But now after Java 8, we can have some implementation, partial implementation as well, with the help of default and static methods. So this is one of the concrete methods that you can implement in your application. So if some of the applications you want that some method needs to be there beforehand, and that should not get changed every time a class is implementing that interface, then you can put it as static. Okay, and if you are adding any default method in an interface, then that means any other class can implement that interface and override that method. Okay, but if you are adding static method, static concrete method, then that particular method cannot be overridden, because static methods object is only created once in the heap, right? So static methods can't be overridden. Okay, so I hope you got the clarity. So in JVM, only one copy is created for static. So whenever you want to override any method to modify any data. So in that case, we have to make use of default. And if you don't want to override, just we have to make use of some value which is being set beforehand. Then you can go ahead with static. There are a lot of differences as well. You can go through them one by one. We'll get the idea of it. How can we call an abstract method? So normally, can you call an abstract method? Directly, can we call it? Yes, we can call it from the class. Okay. So what is the basically use of it? So abstract class is having constructor. Can we call abstract class constructor directly? Or can we create the object of abstract class directly? No, right? For calling the abstract class constructor, we need child class. Okay, so there is abstract class. Directly, we can't create constructor of abstract class. So we need child class, which will implement the properties of abstract class. And then we can create our own constructor, okay, of that particular child class. So like that, we can call the constructors. And then if we modify that particular constructor data, or we can modify any abstract method, then we can override it in a child class, and then we can modify the data. Okay. So let me share you with example so that you will get the idea of it. So you can see like there is one class called person. Person is having name, age, date of birth, address. It is having constructor. It is having getter setters. Okay. Then it is having some methods like do, eat, do, sleep. Then one abstract method called do work, and abstract methods needs to be implemented by the subclass. Then if you see in driver implementation, driver is also a person only, right? So we can inherit the property of a person, and then we can modify some property which we don't want in person, or we want to modify that, we can override that property. Then driver implementation will have a constructor. Okay, we call it via super. So with super key method, what will happen? It will call the super class constructor, and it will set the default values which are there in person, because person will have some address, person will have some date of birth, person will have some name, some age. So it will call that parent class constructor. Then we are overriding do it method. So driver is eating food. Okay, so we are overriding because we can't able to understand, right, who is eating food. Person can be an employee also, person can be a driver also. Okay, person can be a housewife also. How will you understand who that person is? With overridden methods, we can understand. So if it is like a driver is eating food or something like that, then it is pertaining to driver only. Okay. Then do, sleep, do, work, it is specific to driver, we have to override. Then in the main method, what we are doing, we are creating the reference of person, which is abstract class, but we are not creating object of person, because abstract class we can't create object. So here we are doing upcasting. So here we are doing the object of the implementation class. So this is the implementation class, and here we are passing the data. So this is name, then age, then date, and then address, date of birth and address. Then we are calling do work. So if we execute it, then what will happen? It will call the overridden do work method, and that whatever is written, it will call that. Okay, so let me execute it. You will get the idea. So here, if you see the output, you will get Dave is working as a driver. Got it, right? So it is printing me my name. It is printing me Dave. Okay, if you want to print name, age, address, everything, it will print. Okay, so I hope you got the clarity like how abstract methods are internally working. So next question, let's understand. Yeah, so this is output based question. This is also very much important for interview. So if we have a return statement in try block, then will finally block get executed? This is very much important for interview. So if you see, there is one class written. Okay, within the class there is test method. Within test method there is one try catch block. In try there is SOP statement inside try block, and here we are returning one from try block. In catch block also we are printing something, and we are returning something from catch block. And in finally we are printing some SOP statement like inside finally block. Any logical expression you want to print, you can add that. But in main method, what we are doing, we are calling test method, and then we are checking the result. What will be the output for this? You can pause the video over here and you can guess what will be the output for this. I hope you have guessed the output for this question. So now let's discuss the solution. So here it will go to try block, it will print inside try block. Then will it return one from here? No, it will store one in the memory. Okay, but it will not return. It will check like if there is something in a finally block that will get executed. Yes, there is SOP statement in the finally block. So it will print inside finally block, and then it will return me one. So the output will be inside try block, inside finally block, and then one. This will be my output over here. But the next follow-up question will be what? What if finally also has a return statement? What will happen? So if finally is also having return statement, then Very important concept, guys. If finally is also having return statement, then it will override the return statement of try block. So if try block is also having return, finally block is also having return, then this one will be stored in the memory. Okay. In finally block, after printing inside finally block, if there is some return statement written, then it will return that particular line. Okay, whatever finally block is returning, it will return that. And then return one will be overridden, it will be discarded. Okay, so let's suppose finally is returning me 3. So output will be what? Output will be inside try block, then inside finally block, and then 3. This will be the output. I hope you got the clarity on it. Now find nth non-repeating character. This is very much straightforward. So this is very long time these questions are asked. So I hope you know about this. Finding nth non-repeating character in a string or nth non-repeating word in a sentence. Okay, from back, from forward. So for that, you need to know some methods in a stream like limit method, skip method. If you know about these methods, you will get to know about this. And this is very much straightforward. Okay, so you have to basically create a map by grouping by, and then you have to group by based upon the characters and its count, and then we can check the value. If it is if it is equal to 1, that means it is non-repeating, and then we have to skip that many characters whatever the value of n is. If n is 3, we have to skip 2 because it's starting from 0. So skip n minus 1 basically. And if you want to print n non-repeating characters, then it will be limit. We have to apply limit n. So skip and limit method is very important. Then difference between primary key, unique key, and composite key. Okay, so this is also asked as a SQL query question in interviews. So primary key is unique plus not null. Unique key is unique, which can be repeated multiple times in the same table, and composite key is a combination of primary and unique key. This is a basic difference between them. Primary key null is not allowed, unique key null is allowed, and a composite key null is allowed, depending like if it is a part of primary key or unique key. Primary key is only one count per table. One table will have only one primary key. Unique key can have many unique key in a table, and composite key can exist, depends like if it is primary key or unique key. And index wise, primary key is clustered. Okay, because it's by default primary key only one time will be there in a table. In one table, it will be only one primary key. So it will be by default clustered, because clustered index is also present once in a table, and non-clustered is by default for a unique key because it repeats multiple times in a table. There can be multiple columns with a unique key, and then composite key depends on the which type it is present, which type of column it is there. Okay, so this difference should be very much clear in interviews. Interviewer can dig deep into it. Okay, then it's very important question. It's asked multiple times. Like, right, we have to write a query to remove the duplicate. So we are having some set of records in a table, and some records are duplicating more than once. Okay, what we have to do, if some record is repeating more than once, we have to keep one of them and we have to delete the rest of them. So let's suppose one row is same row is repeating 10 times. So one we have to keep, one record we have to keep, and the rest we have to delete it. So that is our requirement. So how will you approach it? Okay, so normally people will think of like we have to delete from the table where we have to write one inner subquery. Okay, and then we have to write group by ID with having clause. And if you are adding having clause with count of ID greater than 1, then what will happen? It will delete everything which is duplicate. But we don't want to delete everything which are duplicates. We want to keep at least one record. For that, there is one clue that we have to understand. There is one trick that we have to know. There is something called as minimum ID. If some ID is repeating more than once, then we have to keep the minimum one. So that it can be implemented in two ways. The simplest one is delete from employee, where ID not in, select min ID from employee group by ID. So we have to keep the minimum one and we have to delete the rest of them. So if one ID is repeating more than once, keep the minimum one. First one is kept as minimum, second is same. So it will be replaced, and then it will keep the minimum one and rest all will be deleted basically. So this is one of the way. Another way is with rank function. Like with ranked, we are passing row number with partition by. Okay, and then with rank from employee 1, we are passing this emp1. Okay, so from emp1, basically we are passing this with rank and then delete from emp1 where emp number in this query from this table where rank is, this is the column alias basically if rank is greater than 1. Okay, so if rank is greater than 1, so it will keep rank equal to 1. So it is similar to this first one only, where it is keeping the first rank. So if rank is equal to 1, it will keep that. If rank is greater than 1, that means those are duplicating, it will remove them. Okay, so these are the two ways through which you can implement how will you remove duplicate from a table. I hope you got the clarity. Which column should be marked as indexed? So this is also very important for interview purpose. So the columns which are for the columns in which we are adding some join columns, for which we are adding some join statements, or which columns are present in where clause, okay, or the primary key. These are basically chosen ones, valid chosen ones for indexing purpose. And indexing is basically what? It's basically to fasten up the performance of fetching the data from the database. It's basically like how will you improve the speed or the performance of fetching the data from database. Okay, so index helps us to do that. So it is of two types, clustered and non-clustered. So clustered is entire set of table having one primary key. So by default, it's clustered index, which I've already told you. And in non-clustered, it's equivalent to unique key. It can be multiple clustered in non-clustered index in a table. Okay, so what's the difference between them? These kind of questions can also be asked. So you can go through this table, you will get the idea on this. I hope you got the clarity on this, like what all kind of question has been asked in a client round based question. So you should better prepare in depth of it so that you can clear client rounds with ease. And keep on practicing data structure based questions as well, because those questions are also mostly focused like arrays, some questions on string manipulation, some questions on stack as well, stack and queue. Okay, so you should prepare on these kind of questions and then you will be good to clear any kind of client interviews. So we'll see you in next set of interview questions, interview rounds. Till then, it's Devjit Roy signing off. Bye bye. Hi everybody, I provide consultation calls or one-on-one session calls or one-on-one mock interview sessions for all of you so that you can ace ahead in your IT interviews, okay, and crack the big service based or big product based organizations. So you can go ahead in the description box below and you can book a call with me, okay, one-on-one session call.